Is that how it opens? Not at all. Good people of YouTube, thank you so much for your time today. I am excited because I'm making up for some lost time here. I'm going to be checking out Cannibal Corpse, Evisceration Plague. Now, as you know, if you are a metalhead, especially a metalhead of my age group, you have probably heard a lot of Cannibal Corpse. I, however, have not. Because growing up, funny story, I legitimately believed that Cannibal Corpse was an evil band. I believed it. I was all about that growing up, you know, it was like kids are listening to Cannibal Corpse and playing D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and getting possessed by demons. And as an adult, I listen to metal and I play Dungeons and Dragons. So if I'm possessed by a demon, it's not so bad. Try it out. Demon possession. It's cool. It's hip. It's fun. It's fresh. Anyways, so I haven't heard a lot of Cannibal Corpse, which is weird because now zooming into the future, like I'm on the same label as these guys. Of course, I've never spoken to them or anything. Maybe someday. So I went from thinking they were evil to now. Anyways, this is going to be a lot of fun. If you're new to the channel, my name is Mark. I am a metal vocalist in 3 bands, Kardavox, Neverbreath, and Viremia. Neverbreath was a black metal project, so that even drives it home a little bit more. And I am a metal vocal coach as well, specializing in grunts and growls and crazy high screeching vocals. Basically, for a living and to pay the bills, I help people sound like toilet bowls and demons. Sure enough. Now, if you enjoy the content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We take the reaction format, we break it down, we make it a little bit longer because we like to make it educational. I like to try to teach you something. Or, sometimes I learn things myself when I'm listening to this. I've learned a lot since doing these reaction videos. And if you really love the content, do check us out on Patreon. We have an awesome Discord server. We have multiple events per month on that Discord server. You get to vote on a video for me to react to each month. And we just started this new program, this new really cool thing where by being a patron and being involved in the Discord community, you're entered to win free vocal evaluations, even free lesson packs with me. Hello. So the rewards are pretty cool. We're slowly making it better and a lot more fun. But let's check out Cannibal Corpse, Evisceration Plague, and I'm gonna reclaim this part of my childhood. Let's go.
The pathogens of devil's design. The dark side of science breathes a weapon of war. Contagious killing and eternal distress. Homicide or suicide will be the cause of death.
Okay, so already I feel like I'm kind of going back in time a little bit. Those crunchy guitars, that just this overall mix. Now, I'm not going to get too much into the production because I don't know a whole lot about it. I'm not a producer myself. But this mix is just, now this isn't one of their older songs. I think this one came out in 2012. I can't remember. Here, let's just check real quick. 2009. Boy, was I wrong. Okay, 2009. So it's not like one of their old songs, right? This band started, I think, in 89. I think they started in 89. That means I would have been 1 year old, give or take. Wow. But one thing that I'm really liking about Corpsegrinder's tone, I've obviously heard some Cannibal Corpse before, but this is the first time I'm really analyzing it, is he's got a bit of a roar to his voice, right? He's got a bit of a roar going on. It's like he's taking a very relaxed false chord grunt closing it up a little bit,
Wah, wah,
and adding a little bit of ha underneath,
whoa, whoa, give it design, wah.
right? Now, anytime we add tonality to a scream, anytime we are using our voice underneath the scream, there are a couple things that I'm going to say every time because they're very important. Number one, we have to know how to handle distortion before we start doing this. Some people, you know, they've got a natural feel for this and they do this a very long time and they figure it out on their own. And that's great. That's awesome. That is not most people, right? So most of the time with people, I start with a pure texture tone, right? No sound of the true chords. None of that underneath. Right, those types of sounds. Now, that being said, there are ways to include your clean voice underneath. You can hear it in this roaring tone that he has here, which is a slightly more high airflow false chord grunt that we have going on here. But I don't usually advise that people start here. However, as we can hear, it creates a really cool tone. Let's keep going though. I'm sure we're gonna have more to talk about. This song is already just, I love those staccato like grr, 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 that the guitars are doing. Super cool.
Total organs altered by the disease. Your brain disabled by the constant pain. Erratic actions lead my thoughts to the blade. I've lost control, I've lost control. Make for your life, you won't escape the night. Your fate was sealed today. Disease is spread, you pray for death. Evisceration Plague.
Yeah, you can hear that tonality under there.
Evisceration Plague.
I'm doing it with more of a deathcore voicing because that's how I've done my vocals for a long time, right? Especially the way that I'm on-setting it. But essentially what we have here is the grunt, slightly compressed, a little bit of extra airflow,
Evisceration Plague.
and then a little bit of true chord tonality underneath there. Yeah, that's right about where we are. And interestingly enough, that's more of a mid, really. I thought we were going to be getting like nonstop lows, but that, like to my ear anyway, that's more of a mid. Fascinating. Not what I was expecting, but very cool. Uh-oh.
Stabbing compulsion overwhelms my mind. Terrorized, screaming force the dust of my night. I rise the blade from the chest to the crotch. Organs and entrails fall to the ground. Beg for your life, you won't escape the night. Your fate was sealed today. Disease is spread, you pray for death. Evisceration Plague. Driven to kill, this is not my will. I am compelled to slay. Invisible foe takes control. Evisceration Plague.
Nice. One thing that I think is really cool, I feel like I don't hear that. I feel like I don't hear this a lot in modern metal, not modern, but current metal vocals. I could be wrong though, right? I've not heard every metal vocal that's out there. But one thing that I find interesting is he's closing to E's a lot, closing to E, A, right? So that letter, or that vowel, I should say, A, that's something called a diphthong or diphthong. I promise that's the name. I didn't make it up. I don't know why it's called that. It's a silly name. You're full license to giggle. Diphthong, diphthong. But essentially it's when we have two sounds, and it's been a while since I took my phonetics classes, so if I'm getting slightly wrong, if I'm getting this slightly wrong, my apologies. But it's basically when we have two vowels creating one syllable, right? So A, E, A, E, A, right? So if I say the word late and I like slow it down and pull it apart, I'm saying L, A, E, T, late, right? A lot of times when metal vocalists will close to a vowel, they'll close to an open vowel, right? An O, ooh. A lot of lows and mids we do in ooh, vowel placements because it's easier because we have all that resonance working for us, right? We've got all that open space for the vowels. I'm sorry, not the vowels, for the sound waves to bounce around. It can be more difficult, not impossible, of course, but it can be more difficult to maintain a low or a mid-tone vocal in a smaller, tighter vowel shape because there's less room for those sound waves to bounce around and sort of like stretch out, right? That's why we get lower tones when our mouth is dropped. Ooh, 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 ooh. So he says like plague, plague, and he closes in on it. Evisceration Plague, right? I'm over-exaggerating it a little bit there so you can hear it, which is probably not necessary. But yeah, pretty cool. I'm going to go back a little bit so you can kind of hear that. Hear how he's closing in on tighter vowels. Interesting. Not what I would have expected.
Evisceration Plague. Driven to kill, this is not my will. I am compelled to slay. Invisible foe takes control. Evisceration Plague.
Now, one quick interjection. Of course, you could say, well, Mark, those are the lyrics. Of course, he's closing in on a tighter vowel, but lyrics don't necessarily dictate pronunciation in metal vocals, or I should say they don't have to, right? And it's the same way with clean singing as well. Like rarely do people sing Christmas, they'll sing Christmas, right? So oftentimes somebody who is to say, do a low and they say plague, instead of doing it like I did before, they would say plague, plague, plague. What I'm doing is I'm just actually sliding my tongue forward. I'm not lifting the tongue, right? Plague, plague. Sliding it forward versus raising it and closing my jaw, right? Right versus interesting. So that's all. Just a little minor clarification.
This is not my will. I am compelled to slay. Invisible foe takes control. Evisceration Plague. Unable to receive a visible effect. Fear and disease causing outbreaks of violence. They tear themselves apart, overcovers the ground. Pressure torn forcefully from the abdomen. Intestines from the blood cannot escape my breath. Surgical incisions give way to present carnage. Delirium is taken hold. This moment is complete. Horror grips my mind. My angels are in my hands. My angels are in my hands. My angels are in my hands.
Oh.
Plague leads to death. Plague leads to death. Plague leads to death. Plague leads to death.
We got a high vocal. See, folks, I didn't listen to a lot of Cannibal Corpse because I didn't even know that Corpsegrinder does highs. Really, this is what I missed out on. There were a couple things I wanted to talk about, and then I got distracted by that high vocal. Oh yeah, so hopefully this doesn't get me any hate, but I'm kind of getting a vibe that early Cannibal Corpse and early Amon Amarth have some similarities. Very different sound. I'm not doing that whole reductionist thing where it's like, well, this is just that. That's like never true. Like if anybody ever gives you a phrase that's in the format of this is just that, don't. That's generally probably wrong. Unless like we're speaking scientifically. Anyway, I'm getting on a soapbox. My point is that I kind of feel like if I took like Cannibal Corpse and put them in Scandinavia and switched out like a beer for a mead, maybe we would get Mon Amarth, right? Who's to say? Point is they would do well on a tour together, and maybe they have toured together. I like both bands. They have a similar vibe, and I dig it. Now, that high vocal, I want to hear it one more time because I want to hear the way that he's doing it. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one.
Leads to death. Plague leads to death. Plague leads to death. Plague leads to death.
That might honestly be getting into like some looser like Fry territory, right? We could say maybe it is. He's got a lot of tonality in there. It's more distorted than mine was. Yeah, it's kind of right around there. Now, he's done that a lot more than I have, so he's kind of got that balance a little bit better. But yeah, that's a switch. That feels more like it's getting into Fry territory, which is fascinating. I wouldn't have expected that. Huh. Now I want to listen to more Cannibal Corpse to see if there's a song where he does more of that. If there are songs in Cannibal Corpse that have more high vocals, let me know in the comments below, because I want to dig into that a little bit. Fascinating. Cool stuff. It sounds good. I like the sound of it. May not be like the safest sound to do over long periods of time. Obviously, Corpsegrinder has been doing this for a very long time, so he knows how to balance these things out. But my job is to tell you what best practice is. So there's that. But clearly some people can create these tones and do it for like 10, 15 years, well, 30 years, and they're fine. So something to think about. Let's keep going.
Death. Plague leads to death. Plague leads to death.
Oh.
Plague leads to death. Disease will spread and cover the world. Mass insanity, the end of our time. Scavengers will eat the remains of man. Our extinction was by our design. Make for your life, you won't escape the night. Your fate was sealed today. Disease is spread, you pray for death. Evisceration Plague.
Yeah.
Driven to kill, this is not my will. I am compelled to slay. Invisible foe takes control. Evisceration Plague.
Oh. Okay, cool. So there was a little bit more of a little bit more of a transition. Yeah, that one sounds different. That's like, it's like that other scream was like kind of its own little thing, and then this high is more of a plague, yeah, plague, maybe more like that. Interesting. Yeah, let's listen to that transition. Let's listen to Corpsegrinder morph that sort of low mid up to that high.
Compelled to slay. Invisible foe takes control. Evisceration Plague.
Yeah, he kind of Evisceration Plague. He kind of has like this slide through, and that's actually a really good way. As long as you are very solid in your mids and lows, that can be a good way to find a high vocal, is to think about slowly sliding that vocal a little bit upwards. Now, I want to add a clarification to this. Don't go from like just a low to the highest high you can. Target, think of like just slowly inching up, right? Boom. Then a little bit more. Then a little bit more. Then a little bit more. And that process could take you weeks. Right? Don't try to, if you are having trouble with high screams, part of the reason you're probably having trouble is because you're trying to shoot straight for the high versus working into it, right? So if you're here, ooh-ah, ooh-ah, those are great vowels because ah is nice and open, can be easy to put a brighter timbre on. Ah, 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 which is helpful for high vocals, right? Ah, 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 right? So if I take this, ah, 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 right? That process may take you a long time. Be patient with it. But that's really cool. I'm glad he did that because it gives us a little bit more insight.
Not my will. I am compelled to slay. Invisible foe takes control. Evisceration Plague.
Haha, God, oh, no. Sorry, buddy. You were holding your intestines in your hands. It's never a good idea. I never suggest that. Anyways, that was Cannibal Corpse, Evisceration Plague, dope song. You know, back, now this still exists today, of course, but it was just very marching aggression. Like that was a big sound back then, and sometimes it's fun to hear that again, because it's straightforward. It's strong, it's straightforward, and it just kind of makes you make that stank face. So I'm probably going to be listening to more Cannibal Corpse after this, again, to make up for lost time. But thank you for hanging out with me while I listened to Cannibal Corpse, Evisceration Plague. Appreciate your time. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe. If you feel like you learned something, please let us know in the comments below. Means a lot to me to know that I'm helping you. And of course, check us out on Patreon. Hop into some of the events in our Discord. Chance to win vocal lessons with me, or at least an evaluation with me. It's a lot of fun. We'll say hey. I'll help you do things like or whatever else. But beyond that, many thanks, much love. I'm out of here.